on? Thanks for joining us once again on Punters Inside Run. Bit of a mixed bag for you this weekend. We've got a couple of Group 2 races up at Eagle Farm as their carnival really starts to take off. We'll look at racing at Rosehill and also at Sandown. Alex Donnelly from codebet.com.au. Mick Sharkie joins me as always, gentlemen. I guess it's been a funny week in racing, hasn't it? It's been a sad week, as we all know, with the tragic death of Dean Holland. So it's just I'm not sure how to feel as we move forward, which I guess we have to do.
Puts everything into context, doesn't it? And you know, we're sitting here trying to back winners and find winners, but a family's sort of coming to grips with losing their father and their brother and their partner and everything else. It's a horrible situation.
It does feel a bit weird to just be pushing on and sort of being like, oh, well, you know, it goes on. It's just like, you know, maybe we could sit back for a week and just sort of let it simmer and take everything in stock and see how we're going forward. One
positive to come out of it, the racing community has got together and the GoFundMe situation for the family has been wonderful to watch.
It's pushing $1 million.
It's over $1 million.
Over $1 million. Well, that's incredible. And it's not the first time we've seen that sort of generosity and support for people in the racing industry that have been affected by tragedy. So, yeah, the racing community does get around each other in moments of hardship, for sure.
Yep, they certainly do. Well, as we said, we're going to look at a couple of Group 2s at Eagle Farm. That is the Guineas and the Victory Stakes. We'll also look at the cards, get the best bets from the boys at Rosehill and Sandown. So let's kick off with the racing at Eagle Farm. We'll start with the Queensland Guineas. It's a $350,000 Group 2 race, and Kovalika's the fave, was pretty impressive. Has won 4 times in 5 runs, Alex.
Yeah, sort of a slaughter to instructions first up, getting back to last from the gate and then just rattling home. You almost feel if James McDonald took a spot early in that race, the horse would have won. Form has stacked up out of it well, and you just sort of go back to last prep when he won the Grand Prix. It's just like, well, there's your Queensland Derby favourite, and he's come back and already asserted those claims, and a win here probably says, yeah, who's going to beat me in the Derby in a couple of weeks' time?
The fortune teller was impressive, winning the Carbine at Randwick on that bog track at the Championships.
Yeah, he was, and then he came out of a race last week in preference for this, so they're looking to up their sights a little bit on what was an even sort of race at Hawkesbury last week on a track that was probably chopping out, looking for better ground here, but there are some late showers forecast in Queensland on Saturday, so maybe it's a similar situation with the track.
And the Vowels has won 5 in a row.
Yeah, going really well.
But drawn wide, can we buy a consonant?
Its form does tie in well when you sort of go through it. It's got that Street Gossip form through Wolverine, and Street Gossip obviously came out last week and smashed them up in the filly. So do you think that form line is just a little bit lower than horses like Kovalika and the Fortune Teller? I suppose Barrier 16, you've got to take one on, and that sort of looks the one for me.
Where'd you land?
Landed with Kovalika on top, as I said, slaughter to instructions first up. Sectionals late were fantastic. That form through Atmosphere, who was runner-up in that race, was franked to a degree last week. I know Hawaii 5-0 was in another race, but at least it ran second. Gets a similar sort of ride again, but Nash on board. Bigger track such as Randwick and Eagle Farm, that all suits, and I really like him stepping up to the mile. He's unbeaten at a mile and beyond.
And second and third?
Got Yusuke in for second, rolls forward. Gassed out late, fresh, and was just run down there. Bred to get further and seems to be pretty good odds, and Damien Thornton doing a good job already up in Queensland. And I've got Perfect Thought in for third. Belted them in the Carbine Club, went up to a mile last prep. Just a bit of a run first up, shall we say, but drier deck and up to the mile, much more suitable.
Shark?
The Kiwis come to Queensland and often get a really good result, Matty. Whitack, number 7, I know he's sort of $14, $15. He was first up for 5 weeks going into that Daybreak Lover, sort of in behind them, never really got a run, got bumped sideways at one point in the straight, just kept finding the line. I think he'll really improve into this race. He's a great each-way bet for me. Kovalika's the one to beat, absolutely, and a rightful Queensland Derby favourite. I'm going with the Vowels for third, number 5. I think, again, off a little bit of a freshen up, beat Tappledoodle-Doo. Tappledoodle-Doo went to Sydney, won the Tulloch. Beat Major Beale, who won the Derby. So I think the form's good around the Vowels.
I've got Kovalika to beat the Fortune Tellers we saw, and the Vowels, in front of the Fortune Teller. If we can get a good track for the Vowels, unbeaten 5 for 5, and Fortune Teller beaten just over length in the Caulfield Guinea, so it has talent. So we move on to our next race, the Victory Stakes, a $300,000 Group 2 race. Private Eyes, the sprinters here, wait for age. Forget running the TJ.
Yeah, completely. Got pushed through the fence on the turn by Shelby 66, and that was after a really good run in the Newmarket. Would any of these run second in Everest? Don't think so. So it sort of looks like if he turns up well and good, he's probably going to win the race.
All right, we might get straight into your tips then for this race.
Yeah, I do have Private Eye on top. I was tipping him to win the All-Age Stakes. I think this race is a weaker event than that. I don't think any of these, as said, would run second in an Everest, let alone fourth in a Newmarket with top weights. The drier track will be suitable. Hopefully not too many of those showers that Shark has mentioned, given we were on a heavy track in the TJ. Not a noted trial horse, but did like his trial a couple of weeks ago, and really good speed expected with Rothfire, Holyfield, Prince of Boom there from barrier 3. He can just sit behind the hot speed again, sort of similar to what he was in the Stradbroke last week when he was like on speed out of nowhere. If he gets a similar run, he can win again. For second, I've got Paul Laley on the Farewell Tour before he heads off to stud. Again, another one who really wants a drier track. Wet tracks are no good for this horse. He's been held back from those races. He was in the TJ, scratched from that, trialling well, and did run second in the 10,000 in Kingsford Smith last time in. And I've thrown in A Case of You for third. Really good Australian debut in the William Reid Stakes, and all of the data guys will tell you that it's the second best sprint this season in Australia outside of the TJ. He's going to run well again, and a bigger track probably suits.
Shark.
KCU on top, again, going with a little bit of value for me.
Yep.
Matty, each way odds, really good run in the William Reid, and I think he'll be a horse going towards a Stradbroke that can have an impact. Private Eye's the one to beat, absolutely, for all the reasons Alex mentioned, and Rothfire getting up on speed, fitter, second up.
I'm taking a set against Private Eye, so I'm going with A Case of You to beat Palali and Rothfire. So all your three mentioned, but third up at the distance, Private Eye, I think, is a bit of a risk on the weekend. That's it for the Group 2 racing at Eagle Farm. Stay with us because we're going to find the best bets at Rosehill next.
You know it's a better betting app when you've got stats and insights for every major game and race. Plus expert opinions from the best minds in the game, all in the palm of your hand. That's better. You win some, you lose more.
Racing in Sydney is at Rosehill, 10 races as always. Alex, this is your hot spot here. What sort of track did you work on?
Yeah, worked on a soft 5. It's that currently with potential for some showers early Saturday morning and maybe Friday night. But other than that, it looks all right. First meeting that we've had here since the end of the Rosehill Carnival. So hopefully the track's in very good condition. It did get belted up over the Rosehill Carnival with some of the rain, but we're in the true position. So every horse should get their chance.
All right, what race did you land for your best bet of the card?
Yeah, so landed in race 4. We need a scratching for number 19 Contemporary to get in. Arguably should have won last start. We get a good jockey change with young Zach Lloyd going on. That kid can't stop riding winners at the moment. Other than the debut run in the Golden Gift, this horse has never seen a good track. His maiden win was on a soft 6. Everything else has been on a heavy 8 or worse. So getting back onto a drier deck, love his run on the map here, up to 1200 metre suits. And you just look at sort of how Godolphin placed these horses. He could be a horse similar to Valana that goes from a race like this and then onto a Fred Best or another race similar of that sort up in Queensland. I think he's great odds. I couldn't believe he was $6.
All right, where did you land for your best bet?
I'm going to race 5, Matty, Kips Bay.
Kips Bay?
Who has got a really good winning strike rate. He's gone to Queensland for his first 2 runs at Eagle Farm. First up, he led all the way and just smacked them. It was an easy win. Slow away, sort of jumped sideways at the start, lost his position, was always wide and chasing. Second up behind Antino, who I think will go very well in Queensland as well on Saturday. I think he can bounce back here. White gate, Karen McAvoy brings him straight across the front. He should lead and he should win.
I'm going with a best bet in the midway. That's 2 times in 3 weeks. So I must have got hit in the head at the I'm not sure. But that's number 13 and Wrathful. Followed his debut fourth with 2 wins last prep and was a really good fourth first up in this preparation. Ran the fastest last 200, stays at the same level, drops in weight and has won both on soft and good. So race 3 for me. So all different races, which is good. What about your next best and your best value?
Yep. Next best comes up in race number 9, Democracy Manifest for Chris Waller and Joe Marira. Ran up to the great trials by winning the last race of the Randwick Carnival, put an absolute gap in them. Goes up to a benchmark 100 from an 88, but drops 3 kilos. He's been scratched out of an earlier race from this. The step to 1400, the way he ran through the line the other day, shouldn't be an issue whatsoever. He's always had the ability, looks as if he's put it together. I think he's one of the better bets at Rosehill. My value comes up in race number 8, Piccaronis for the Godolphin combination of Lloyd and James Cummings once again. Good on speed at the midweeks, third up now onto a better track. I think $12, $13 is pretty good odds in this race. It's very even. Zach Lloyd, yet again, 1.5 kilos for him at the moment is gold.
My next best and my value, Matty, are the same horse, and he's back.
Oh no. he's
Oh,
back.
no,
I know
not
where we're
again.
going.
Race 9, number 2.
I know where we're going.
Yeah.
Brutality.
Oh,
This is
no.
brutal.
Even the crew are looking at him and going, he's an idiot.
He's ready. He's ready to go. Brutality. Great run, third up, ready to go on a track he likes. He'll run really well.
You know, the
He'll run
definition
on
of
for
doing the
fourth
same
again.
thing wrong time and time again.
I know.
Stupidity.
Mick Sharkie. Oh, sorry.
All right, brutality once again. So there's your first scratching for the weekend. My value bet is in race 7, a Kiwi, Podium Queen, former Kiwi with a good record, been competitive at group level back over there. Had a nice trial with something in hand, so there's going to be something there. 2 for 2 on a fresh, so I'm hoping it's not too soft, and that Beware Walla Marrera sort of combination is working pretty well at the moment. All right, anything else we should be aware of apart from the brutality thing?
Just alert the Swiss bank.
They went bust, didn't they?
The big deposits.
Thank you, Alex, as always.
Thanks for having me, boys.
Shark, stay with us because Brutality's not running at Sandown, but he'll find a couple of horses to follow.
You know it's a better betting app when you've got stats and insights for every major game and race. Plus expert opinions from the best minds in the game, all in the palm of your hand. That's better. You win some, you lose more.
You're watching Punters Inside Run, and we have 10 races at Sandown in Melbourne. Of course, Tuesday's Anzac Day meeting was cancelled, so a couple of extra, or at least an extra race, and a couple have transferred across. Shark, your thoughts on the track? We're recording this on a Thursday. There's a little bit of rain around. There's plenty of wind.
Bit of rain Thursday, bit more rain Friday night. I think, Matty, is when the bulk of the rain looks like it's going to come. So, yeah, the wind, it's interesting, isn't it? It might dry it out, or it might just help blow those showers through without having too much effect on the track. But
did you work on a good or a soft?
Sandown's in a bit of a rain belt, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's in that sort of 5 range, I think. Yeah.
And it sort of looks like a meeting that nothing really jumps off the page except maybe 1 or 2. There's a lot of sort of 10 to 1 sort of each way runners that you might get invested in, but nothing sort of says back me.
No, and a lot of races where there's probably 3 or 4 genuine winning chances in it. I settled on Katsu as my best. I really liked this horse when he came back at Sale. The trials beforehand were huge, and there were horses winning all around him in his trials. Again, he's won 3 out of 5 now. The Sale run was the easiest watch of all time.
Yep.
He just jogged along, and when Jordan Child said go, the horse just put
Well,
a
it was
margin
caught
on.
wide the whole way, and you think, well, this horse has got to get tired first up. But in the end, wins by almost 4 lengths.
And I think that's probably the mark of a horse that's better than that
Yep.
grade. You know, that was a 70. This is a stronger race. There's some horses like Fasudo and Fisher who have shown good ability at times, but I think he's a level above them.
And I think Graham Begg knows that.
I think he does know that.
Yeah, he's got another talented one that's sort of working through the grades.
And you know what? He's a master at placing them to advantage so they can get that winning feeling, put some prize money in the bank and get their way to better races rather than just plonking them straight in.
So we're agreeing the best bet for the day at Sandown is race 6, number 3, Katsu.
Race 6, number 3, Katsu.
Yeah,
yes.
1 2 in a row last prep, and the form was frank with you talked about Fasudo. Who Shot Susie running well behind Fasudo, and that sort of ties in well, even though there was plenty left in hand when winning the other day. So we're agreeing. I think that's the only horse that really jumps off the page to me. Maybe one in race number 10. But what have you got for a value bet?
Well, in the 9th, Cardinal Virtue's probably got his hand up for a Stradbroke tour.
Cardinal Gem?
Cardinal Gem. Yeah, if he can win this, he'll find himself, I think, heading to Queensland with a Stradbroke on the cards.
Got to carry a bit of weight.
He does. It's a really good test. He's a 100 handicap raider with 60 kilos here. He needs to probably be north of 105 to get into a Stratty.
Yep.
So he's there to win. I just think a horse that ran 3rd to him last time, Lady of Honour, is a genuine chance to turn the tables. Each way odds, the horse is 3rd up. She carries a bit of pudding back from a spell.
Yep.
So the Hayes boys like to race her into fitness. I think she'll be right 3rd up. Just had to do a little bit of work and cover a bit of ground last time. She tried hard. She ran up to probably the 250 before Cardinal Gem put her away. Inside gate, I think there's a lot in her favour here. She'll run really well.
So Lady of Honour, best value for Shark. I've gone to the last race. The Lindsay Smith or Carolux is the favourite, but I thought price-wise that Party for One was a better value bet. He really caught the eye flashing home. First run for the price, Kent Yard. That was, prior to that was, it was a 7 weeks between runs, and prior to that was running behind Parasol, which is good form. Drops back to 78 and gets up to the 1300. So I'm expecting Party for One to be finishing pretty well, and I don't think you have to go too wide in that quaddie leg. That might even cover it, those two, but we'll talk about the quaddie later.
You know what? It's probably a good way to approach the quaddie, to trim up those last 2 legs and maybe Cardinal Gem, Lady of Honour, and as you said, Carolee Rocks and Party for One. That could be a good strategy.
All right, speaking of that, that's our best bets for Sandown, but keep an eye on our socials for Shark with his very successful perm, the Punters Inside Run multi, and we'll also have on our socials the Punters Inside Run quaddie. Thanks for joining us. Hope you have a very winning weekend. We'll see you next time on Punters Inside Run.
You know it's a better betting app when you've got stats and insights for every major game and race. Plus expert opinions from the best minds in the game, all in the palm of your hand. That's better. You win some, you lose more.